Hello there. It's Most Things Kenobi. This is the podcast you're looking for.
Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Lauren.
And I'm your host, Leanne.
And this week we have a very special episode.
I
say that every time.
Well, but
it's
every
always
episode is special with us. We make it special. Because we feel special doing this.
Totally.
But this is a good one because we haven't even... Okay, we've talked about some parts, but we haven't talked about the main thing that we're talking about today.
Yeah. We're going to dive into some Mandalorian stuff today.
With emphasis on the most adorable, most mysterious Baby Yoda. I'm calling him Baby Yoda today. I know his name is Grogu, or as my mom likes to call him, Gogurt. Whatever, close enough.
Baby Gogurt.
Baby Yogurt. But I mean, he's always going to be Baby Yoda, even though his name is Grogu. You know.
I know. I feel like they gave him a name out of like revolution. They were just like, how dare you like make up a name for this
Here's
character?
the thing though. Many people may not know this. The name Grogu was decided in season 1 of The Mandalorian, and they just didn't know how to incorporate it in like a fluid fashion. Like, how do we just... And so Dave Filoni, being the fucking genius that he is, decided to have Ahsoka on, right? And he said that that would be the perfect way to incorporate the name Grogu because she, number one, knew Yoda, the only other one of the species that any of us really know about. And number two, could speak to him kind of telepathically or at least sense his emotions and his fears and things. And so it was a good time to like reveal somewhat seamlessly that his name was Grogu. So there's a little trivia for you, but...
I mean, that makes sense. It's because you can't just... I hate blatant exposition.
Right.
Where they just sit down and tell you this, and this is the story. And
Correct.
then, like,
yeah.
two characters start talking and they just lay out the plot line for you. I find that really irritating. So I'm glad he waited until it was, like, naturally incorporated in there.
Yes, and Ahsoka literally is the only one, at least in this realm of this show, who knew, trained, and fought alongside Yoda.
Yeah.
Very rare. So, he's cute. He's adorable. It was pretty much a giant shock to see another Yoda, because we don't know his species.
Right.
And I'm actually so thankful that they didn't give it away, that we still don't know.
Yeah, me too.
You and I talked about how some things can remain a mystery, should remain a secret. And Yoda's species is like one of those things, I think, too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to know. I never want to know. I like the mystery around it.
Yes.
And I do kind of hope that this baby is not related to Yoda, but wouldn't it be funny if he was? Like,
well, there'd be a lot more questions.
I know, it's like, I don't even want to go there.
Like, damn it, Yoda, the shit you accused Anakin of, or at least secretly accused Anakin of, you doing on the side, Yoda? I don't think so. I don't think it was in blood relation to Yoda, but I think, well, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Baby Yoda, not necessarily related to the Yoda. And then there's that female one. Isn't there a female Yoda? Didn't she have like
Yaddle?
Yaddle!
I don't know if I don't know if it's a female, first of all. I was never sure. And
Okay.
then I could just
I
Google
sure
it.
hope I didn't misgender Yaddle, but
Well, shall we look up what Yaddle is?
yes, please. I hope I didn't just
It
make a
was-
giant mistake.
It was one of my trivia questions.
It
the
was.
name-
I remember.
Let's see. Yaddle.
Yaddle.
A force-sensitive female being in the same species as Grandmaster Yoda.
Okay.
There you go.
Unnamed species. So some things must remain sacred, such as...
So It could be Yoda
I mean,
and
it
Yaddle's
could be, but I gotta believe that Yoda was... He was like the head Buddha, the head Buddhist in the temple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm looking at this picture of Yaddle and being like,
I see a resemblance. They all look the same.
It's so funny.
But they age quite differently. Baby
Yeah.
Yoda is 50.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, do you know how old Baby Yoda is? There you go.
I think he's 50. Yeah. And that puts him at the Jedi Temple when Anakin went apeshit.
Okay, so I wondered about this because when I rewatched it the other day, Ahsoka says that he was at the temple and he was hidden, and then someone came and took him from the temple.
Yes.
Who was it? Would it have been Obi-Wan? Would it have been Yoda? Are we going to see Obi-Wan go back to the temple in the Obi-Wan series and rescue Gogurt?
She's... I have to tell you, my mother loves Baby Yoda. She doesn't. She was never into Star Wars until The Mandalorian came out, right? And now she listens to our podcast. She's fully enveloped in all of this. You know this because she follows Instagram.
She does.
Your Instagram account. And very interactive now, loves to ask questions and everything, but her heart is devoted to Baby Yoda.
Oh, he is adorable.
I mean, he is, but it's funny because that's the effect of The Mandalorian and even you could say the sequels. They pull in new Star Wars fans and then they become exposed to the stuff that we always treated as like, the iconic stuff. But to these people, The Mandalorian is the first thing they're seeing, or the sequel trilogy is the first thing they're seeing, or the prequels were the first thing they grew up with seeing. And so it's really kind of interesting, but you can't have Baby Yoda without regular Yoda. It's like tall, grande, venti Yodas.
Well, I wonder if people who have no experience then with Yoda, they like Baby Yoda because he's cute, super adorable,
Yeah.
but it's like they don't understand maybe the importance of how rare that species
The
is.
magnitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that he lived through Order 66, which is, rare.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot did. I would have to believe that, Yoda being Yoda, he would have had to have been the one to, secretly rescue
His
Grogu,
son.
right? Because they're of the same species.
I was going to say, he knew his son was still at the temple and he had to go back.
His son! I don't think it's his son! Listen, Corky is Obi-Wan's son, but Baby Yoda is not Yoda's son. I draw a line here. Shit, Yoda didn't even know that Palpatine was Sidious. How would he know if he had a bastard running around the temple? I mean, I know they look the same, but...
Well, because Yoda,
Shit.
Yaddle, and Grogu were all at the temple at the same time, it just makes sense.
Yoda and Yaddle.
They should have had a baby named Yiddle then instead.
Yiddish.
Little Yiddish. Oh,
Little baby Yiddy.
that's adorable.
It is kind of cute. Anyway, sidetracked
Yeah,
already.
I'm sorry I side tangents this.
Oh, no, not you. I mean, this is how we do things here. So, I mean, Grogu was being trained as a Jedi, and he made it out of Order 66, and he was hidden away by who knows who. We don't know. We can only speculate. And now he's been rescued by the Jedi. We'll get to that because... as we record this, it is the 1-year anniversary of the season 2 Mandalorian finale where Luke came back to open up all of our tear ducts.
Truly, if you follow me on Instagram, you know this is a real thing.
It's a real...
I was crying for real yesterday.
Yes, because you rewatched everything just to freshen up.
I did, and it was very emotional for me to see Luke.
That whole... The Luke thing, for those who know and those who get it and those who love, was a real... It, one of the greatest things I've seen Star Wars wise.
Yeah.
Flat out, hands down, point blank, period, right?
Yeah.
But that was emotional. And then it was the Mandalorian himself saying goodbye to Baby Yoda. After everything they went through. And it was so touching because he took his helmet off.
Yeah. And kept it off. I realized it kind of didn't click with me before, but I was thinking he pulled the helmet up and put it back down, and he doesn't. He took it off and then stood there in the room. Yeah. Yeah, which is...
That was like raw, real emotion, and he didn't care in that moment.
Yeah.
He made such a big deal of it. You know how Mandalorians are.
Yeah.
You know.
This is the way.
This is ask no questions. This is just how we do it. But,
yeah, it was a very moving scene. I really, I don't know. I guess it was not Yoda. I was going to say it was Baby Yoda.
Yiddle, yaddle, and Yoda. Shit. God.
It was Grogu's decision to that moment where Mando says he doesn't want to go with you, and Luke says he wants your permission.
Yeah.
Was an interesting moment because obviously Mando can't understand Grogu. Maybe Grogu can understand Mando. I don't know. We don't really know that so much.
Well, if he's force sensitive, he would understand emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like
or at least feel it strongly.
It's an interesting moment because we think they have this, they do have this very important bond, but Mando is like maybe projecting onto him a little bit, saying, acting like he understood him, but being kind of wrong when both Ahsoka and Luke point out, you're not quite understanding what Grogu is saying. It's kind of interesting.
It is. And it was an interesting way of them. They could have just had him go with Luke, easy peasy, you know. Oh, there's the Jedi. All right, off I go. But it's curious that they left that in, like he wants your permission, like almost like he respects whatever decision Mando gave him, because there is that bond there.
Well, right,
you know?
and that ties in with Ahsoka's part of it, and like the attachment she sees.
Yes.
Yes,
and I think there may be a part, this is just a theory of mine, but the Baby Yoda moment where Luke says he wants your permission, it's like you're never gonna get over it unless you give him up yourself. Like Mando has to detach from him emotionally and physically, and maybe Baby Yoda knew that, and so he was waiting for him to say, like, okay, this is your next step. I'm okay with you going.
Yeah.
And then Baby Yoda, almost in his own way or in a Jedi way, with the help of Luke interpreting, was able to allow the Mando that chance to say, okay, I can let you go.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Because otherwise, then it's just Luke sweeping in and snatching him up and stuff. But that just wasn't the way.
No, yeah, it was very compassionate. If that was the case, that was.
Well, the thing is Ahsoka understood, Luke understood, because they've lived it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I loved Ahsoka's influence and then Luke's influence. You know, we knew a Jedi was coming at the last episode. We didn't know it was gonna be Luke. Oh, I'm never gonna get over it. So good. But you know, there's all this. Is it gonna be Ezra? But we know he's out floating around with the whales and Thrawn somewhere. You know, and we know we were verified this because Ahsoka gave it away in her episode. She's still looking for him. Where's your leader, Thrawn? You know, which I can't wait. Oh my God, live action Thrawn. Give it to me now. I can't wait.
It's going to be so amazing. Honestly, just the Ahsoka episode.
Oh, the Ahsoka episode. Let's talk about it.
It's so good. It's so good. Everything about it. And I've only ever watched it once until yesterday. I rewatched it. And I was able to, because I knew it was coming, I paid more attention to like other details. And just the world building there, the creatures in the background, and the way the trees are all burned, and the outside is this toxic kind of the kind of atmosphere you get with a lot of volcanic activity.
Yes, or after a wildfire burns everything.
Yeah.
I know these
I was going to
things.
say, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Yeah, nothing at all.
And then inside the, what is that woman called again? She's not the governor, like the magistrate.
Magistrate.
Inside the magistrate's building. And it's this beautiful, calm, koi pond with a blue sky.
Yes.
It's just like, I love...
Isn't that always how it goes, though?
Yeah, I love
the
that.
rich... Okay, have you ever heard of Brandon Sanderson, the author? He's a science fiction author. He wrote the Mistborn series. Very similar to the world that was built in the Ahsoka episode, where everything's charred on the outside, and the poor and the slaves and the low class, and then the rich are in this beautiful temple, and you don't even know that there's anything tarnished, right?
Interesting.
And I got that kind of vibe. If anyone's read the books, they'll know what I'm talking about, but it's that vibe of like the rich are set aside and don't know anything.
I love that kind of stuff.
Or don't care. I know, it's such a giant contrast, but it was so well executed in that episode. It was great. And then there's Ahsoka in the shadows, because she is a bit of a shadow.
She is. She keeps disappearing into the mist.
She does. And that's what she does in the Clone Wars. She's real fast and acrobatic.
Yeah.
And, she's there and then she isn't. I love it. And the play of the lights.
Yes. And
They did a play on lights. Really great shit.
her lightsabers have a different sound, too, than, like, most of the other lightsabers. And the fact, I just kept thinking how when we're watching Clone Wars, because it's for kids, we never see them kill, like, living beings because it's for kids.
Right.
And, like, every other version of Star Wars, all the movies, they are just killing people right and left.
Yes.
And if you watch Return of the Jedi, like Luke goes into Jabba's palace and just
True.
kills a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, that's all. He eliminates a few.
Exactly. So, like, to see Ahsoka just, like, cutting people down right and left, it was kind of surprising, but also, like, so fucking badass.
So badass. And you can see, okay, so here's this warrior woman, this trained Jedi. I mean, Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. Also, you could say Obi-Wan's second Padawan. Okay, big happy family back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got skill, and she had some of the best training before it all went to hell, right? And then totally different demeanor, goes right into her caring, compassionate, warm self that we know she has, that we've seen in the Clone Wars as soon as she sees Baby Yoda,
Yes,
right?
yeah. I hope it's about him, she says. And it's
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
that humor.
Like that, exactly. And Rosario Dawson did a fantastic job, like getting that, the cadence in her voice and everything. It's just, it was so heartbreaking to me, and yet one of the finest things that they added in that episode is why she couldn't train him.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew what she was talking about when she said, "I've seen what such feelings can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight, to the best of us. I will not start this child down that path." And for those who know, obviously she's talking about her own master. And with the amount of, because she sensed the fear in Baby Yoda, right? And we know what fear does, even with the best training.
It doesn't usually lead to good places.
No, not in Star Wars. No, that's the whole thing about Star Wars, is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. No,
Well, that is part of it.
kind of though. Facing your demons.
But that's why I think it's kind of interesting that Ahsoka wouldn't train Grogu because she saw what happened to Anakin, but Luke would because he saw what happened to Anakin.
Precisely.
At the end.
And it's two faces of the same coin, basically.
Yeah.
But Luke literally could be the only one. Mm-hmm. Because he has the belief, because he's seen. Ahsoka only knows what happened. And at this point, we don't know if she's met Luke. We assume she hasn't. So she doesn't know that Anakin turned back.
Yeah.
You know, in the end, to save his
She
son.
probably knows of him, even if she hasn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Hasn't met him.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Have posters.
He's the Jedi. Well, I'll tell you who
Poster
doesn't.
boy.
Mandalorian didn't know who the fuck he was.
Well, yeah, actually, like, Bo-Katan didn't know who he was either. She knew he was a Jedi.
Well, you know, the Mandalorians, the hardcore Mandalorians, like Bo-Katan, don't want anything to do with the Jedi unless it's Ahsoka, because they can trust her.
That's true.
And she's technically not a Jedi anymore.
Right.
You know, by title, even though she is.
Yeah, I mean, is it like the once in, never out? You're just always a Jedi after that?
I believe that's I believe there's a song, Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
That's the Jedi.
It's the Jedi theme song.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Put that quote and a picture of the Jedi Temple on a t-shirt.
You're gonna have Don Henley singing with lightsabers.
Yes! He'll be on the steps as Anakin and the troops are walking by. You can check out anytime you like, Anakin, but you can never leave.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
All of that to say, Ahsoka saw the worst happen, and Luke saw the worst happen turn into good.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows that it's possible, and he believes.
Yeah.
In the hope that even though this small child has a lot of fear in him, doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Yeah.
You know, and Luke's trying to make a different Jedi Order anyway.
Well, and Luke is the person who always believes in the good of others. And I suppose I'm just going to pretend like part of the sequels don't exist. That, like...
Please do.
Yeah.
You have permission on this podcast to do just that.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
He's the person who always believes in the good, and he always knows from personal experience that you can overcome your fear, that you can have fear. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control your actions.
Yes.
And maybe that comes down to nature versus nurture. You know, you could have, because obviously Anakin and Luke share DNA, but they don't behave the same way when it comes to facing fear.
Correct.
At least not ultimately, right? Like,
no, right.
Obviously Luke has a temper like Anakin, but he, through
And
training...
he has fears, lots of emotion.
I mean,
He's afraid of his friends dying.
Exactly.
That was like his biggest thing.
Which is funny because he is not afraid of loss. Like, which is crazy, but it's, you see it even in A New Hope. He literally saw the charred remains of his family laying on the ground, and Mark Hamill wanted to play the scene very emotionally, and George Lucas is like, no, I want you to keep it, Saturday morning cartoon friendly.
Like all of Star Wars. No.
Yeah, right? Like, don't feel anything too much. And I've always thought that was, like, super crazy that he saw that, went back to Obi-Wan and was like, okay, I'm ready to be a Jedi. Granted, this is the hero's journey. It's how it's supposed to be. But still, like, as a normal human, you'd be like, I'm going to crawl into bed for 12 months. True. Which is, I guess, also a year. And just...
Anakin and his own father would have raged.
Yeah.
Sought revenge.
Yeah.
Because Anakin never accepted. That's what drove him into Darth Vader-ness, is that he couldn't accept the chance that Padme might die or whatever his vision showed, or his mom died and all that. He just couldn't accept it.
Yeah. That
things came to an end. And Luke did. And there's some peace in that.
Luke is much more like Obi-Wan in that sense.
Yes.
He is so much more stoic and accepts that he might not like what's happening, but if the Force wills it, I think Obi-Wan learned the hard way that, like, the Force is going to do what it's going to do, whether or not you're happy with it. It's like the loss of Qui-Gon, the loss of Satine.
Yeah.
It's like...
Just because you accept something doesn't mean that you also don't have an emotional response to it, that
Right.
that you're okay with it.
Yeah, and somebody said that actually about the episode we did about all the sad things in Obi-Wan's life. Somebody said that they felt one of the most underrated and under-discussed scenes is when Bo-Katan is throwing Satine in Obi-Wan's face in season 7, saying, like, "You're not going to help me? I thought you loved my sister." Like,
Yeah, it's a bit manipulative.
It is, and he shows clearly in his face and his voice that, like, he did care for her, but he's saying, I cannot allow my emotions to determine my behavior. Sorry, but I can't, even though you're going to throw that in my face. And Luke is very similar. I think he finds a way through it still, like to find a solution that makes everybody kind of happy. I guess not everybody. The Emperor sure wasn't happy, but
Well, no, but that's okay. We don't like him. His feelings aren't valid here. But everything you're saying is so true, and that's why it's extremely important that it was Luke who showed up and chose to train, I should say, Baby Yoda, because he's the only one that understands. Ahsoka, we love her. She is queen, but she has emotions, and she knows it, though. And she's aware of what those emotions can do, and she also is aware of what she'd be starting with Baby Yoda. And in fact, not just fear that was sensed in Baby Yoda, but the obvious attachment he had to Mando, right? That's two obstacles very, very difficult for a Jedi to overcome. Because what have we talked about before? Is attachment's not allowed, and you don't fear. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose, right?
yeah.
Which is one of my favorite quotes, but
Yeah, I mean, you
hard
gotta
to do.
be ready to accept the thing that you fear the most. I mean, it's that, is it like a Japanese proverb that all leaves must fall, like all things must end? And it's very hard to accept. It's like a kind of heartbreaking, beautiful, poetic thing about life, is that
Yes.
there is no one gets out alive, and so, like, it's about how you accept that or you rail against it. And that's interesting to me about Ahsoka in particular, though, because she might even be the best Jedi of all. She's so stoic and warm and compassionate and fighting for the greater good, but is not attached. She is literally alone in a dark, burned out forest.
Which is very sad,
Yeah.
considering how much heart she has and how everyone that comes in contact with her either respects her or loves her, befriends her in some way, trusts her, but she goes it alone.
She's on her mission. And, like, how could she, hunting Thrawn, and we all know how dangerous and ruthless Thrawn is.
Oh,
You can't bring a child along
no.
while
No.
you're doing that, so
No.
it wouldn't be practical.
And she's also one of those that when she makes a promise or she makes her mind up about something, she sticks to it until she sees it through to the end. So I don't think that she would have given up her quest to find Ezra and go defeat Thrawn or whatever her plan may be. We'll find out in the show, hopefully. But if she saw that there was a chance, she would have taken Baby Yoda. But she knew there was. Let's call it like it is. She had too much fear from her own past, seeing her own master, to train that, and that's a bad combo. Fear plus fear doesn't equal any good outcome.
Well, maybe
So-
maybe that's an even bigger reason why she would refuse. Obviously, she would be putting a child on a path that she felt was wrong for that child, but also bringing her own fear into that situation. You're right. Like, none of that would have been productive or good.
Yeah. But she helped him in the best way she could. She told Mando where to take him so that he can make the decision.
Yeah.
And an interesting thought occurred to me about Grogu on that Seeing Stone. A lot of people say, well, Luke just came in and that was it. Mando had to let him go, and that was the end. He went off with Luke, and we'll never see him again. But I don't think it was as simple. I wonder, now hear me out, if Grogu, while he was meditating on that rock, and the thing was, he's reaching out and making himself present to whatever Jedi are listening, if maybe he saw what would happen to Mando if he didn't go. And maybe that's why he chose to go. So maybe it wasn't that he saw, oh, I'm a Jedi, or I'm strong with the Force, I need a Jedi. Maybe he saw multiple instances of what might happen. And maybe his best course was to leave Mando, even though maybe he wanted to stay and he knew that Mando was close to him and was bound to him. Maybe Baby Yoda saw a situation where Mando may have gotten hurt or died if he stuck around. And thus, he decided, okay, I'm going to go. Because I'll just say it, my mom hated that Luke came in and just took Baby Yoda away from him. Because Mando said, wherever he goes, I go.
Yeah.
Up until that moment. But I wonder if Baby Yoda made a decision because he saw something terrible that might happen. And so he, not a self-sacrifice, but said, okay, I got to do this because this man who's protected me and I've protected him, I can protect him one more time.
Yeah, it's a lesser of two evils.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
I thought of that because I don't think there's absolutely nothing sinister about Luke. Luke heard a distress call and came. Why? Because that's what Luke Skywalker does.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's in trouble, he's going to go. He's not going to ask questions. He's rushing in. He's going to save whoever needs saved by any means necessary. And he'll sort out the details afterwards. So he got a call, you could say, from poor Baby Yoda. And he went. Got in his X-Wing. Killed all of our souls with his amazingness. And took this lost soul, baby Yoda, and gave him some place where he belonged. But I don't think it's the last we'll see of him. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Well, I mean, he's only 50 and he can live another 850 years. So
yeah, and I mean, we know that Luke's school is destroyed. We know this.
Yeah, we know it existed for a while.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe Baby Yoda gets out of that. I think there's more to the story that awaits us. I don't think it's the end.
I'm interested
whatsoever.
to see what's going to happen because on a couple of different fronts, right? So, like, it's possible that Baby Yoda could show up in the Obi-Wan show because they do share part of the timeline.
They do.
It's possible that Luke will show up in Ahsoka's show because in the original Thrawn trilogy, Luke is the one who destroys Thrawn. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to see he gets, like, how fucking cool would it be if Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker
can't. I'm having a physical reaction sitting here.
Seriously, the, like, Jedi dream team.
I have to breathe.
Deep breaths.
I have to breathe because my Skywalker love and heart will absolutely fucking implode.
Yeah.
You will hear me from across this globe. Especially if it's done well, which, hey, Favreau and Filoni, in thee I trust.
Well, and they hired that guy who did the deep fake. So
They did.
Let me just say this, though.
Please do.
Don't use computer-generated voice. Fuck's sake. Mark Hamill is one of the greatest voice actors
he
around.
Really is, though.
He can pitch his voice up and sound younger.
He can.
Let him lay down the track. Like, why? I knew right away it wasn't a human voice. And I saw the special features and they're like, I don't think you can tell. It's like, I could tell instantly because I have watched Luke Skywalker since I was like 5 years old. So I could tell you right away that was not Mark Hamill's voice. Mm-hmm. Like, just let him speak the lines and it will sound 1,000,000% better. So go ahead, put him in the Ahsoka show. I am here for that. Yes, but use Mark Hamill's voice, please.
Well, I'm here to tell you, if they used Max Lloyd-Jones in the future.
Big fan.
Fuck.
The guy's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I believe
Stand in as Luke any day. Any day.
He had the physicality down.
He did.
It was very fluid. I really thought he did a great job.
I have a girl boner. This is a lot. I just
I love you so much.
I'm having problems.
I love you.
I love you too. I know we're supposed to be talking about Baby Yoda. I get it. But he's tied to so many incredible characters at this point that it's just, the possibilities are endless for where this could go.
Well, so that's the other question I have then. What is going to happen in Mandalorian Season 3? Because the whole show thus far has been Mando with Baby Yoda. And that's...
Well, he's got
the
the Darksaber now.
Okay, whole nother thing, which this might be another show altogether. Technically,
It might need to be.
I thought you had to kill the person with the Darksaber, which he did not do. So therefore, if that's the rule, you don't have to kill somebody. Obi-Wan is actually the owner of the Darksaber.
Preach, girl. Preach, because he had it.
He defeated Pre Vizsla first.
He absolutely did.
Yeah. So, what the fuck?
Well, I need to know how the fuck it got from Sabine. Did Sabine give it to... She did, didn't she? At the end of Rebels?
I don't remember, honestly.
She gave it over. I think she did. Here's the deal. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And they're going to need to be answered. What we know, Sabine's in the Ahsoka show. We got a whole season 3 that's going to be Darksaber related. We don't know if Baby Yoda is going to show up. Listen, he might show up at the end of the season, you know.
Speaking basic English.
Maybe he'll be on a holocron, like video. They'll have Skype sessions from Luke's temple. Maybe Leia will be there.
Oh my god.
It'll be a whole family thing. Han will be in the back chastising somebody. You know,
Baby Yoda's always stealing Ben's cookies and eating his milkshake. Yeah.
See, I love the future of Star Wars. At least in our brains, it seems really good.
There are so many possibilities. Next week, we are going to discuss Padme Amidala. Long overdue on this show. We haven't had any episodes about her yet. So we are going to talk about whether or not we think Padme died of a broken heart. Because that just has never sat right, I think, with either one of us.
Never sat right with me either. Nope. No. So this strong, intelligent, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Just died of a broken heart? Not buying it. No. Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so. So we'll dive into some theories and have a discussion about what we think happened there for real.
Last week we asked you your opinions on what would have changed if Qui-Gon had lived. And we got a really interesting response from Breath in My Blood via Instagram. She says, "My take on no one going back to try and get Shmi out of slavery is that the council wouldn't have done that regardless, since they didn't want anyone to be attached. And as far as I can tell, Obi-Wan wouldn't have had the authority to do so. He is newly knighted and in charge of one of the most complicated Padawans a Jedi has ever had to deal with. He's expressed defiance to the council, but it now is under the discretion of training Anakin, while proving himself as a knight and getting his bearings after losing Qui-Gon. I just don't think he would have been in a position to make that happen until years down the road, and by then maybe he felt like it would have been a bad idea." She then goes on to say, "And even if they had rescued Shmi, Palpatine would have used her as a pawn at some point. I don't see that ending well regardless." And that is the absolute truth. Palpatine knew too much and knew his entire goal was to get Anakin as his, eventually, right? So he would have probably... I could see him using Shmi as a pawn. So, excellent response. Thank you for chiming in. We love our listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. Remember to follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Plus, you can always find us over at mostthingskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.